Let's bring in Fleischer, President George W. Bush's first White House press secretary. I want to ask you, because you've been inside the White House for big meetings before. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. You're going into the Oval Office, in and of itself intimidating, right? And you know the president's pretty mad. He's gone on national television and he's promised to say some pretty harsh things to you. What's going through these guys' minds right now?
Well, I think they're wondering if this is going to be theater or is it going to be productive. Is the president using them as props and putting them on a perp walk? Or is there something they can actually discuss for how to get this thing capped and cleaned up?
They felt like they were going on a perp walk heading into
I think there's no question about it, especially when they took them on that unusual route to bring them through the West Wing lobby. Instead of when you walk through OEOB, you usually go underground and into the White House. They took them on that route because they wanted to parade them in front of the cameras. You know, and what we saw on Capitol Hill yesterday with people calling for Harry Carey, theatrics isn't going to solve this problem, but we're seeing now two branches of government engage more in theatrics.
But I'm betting you that congressman gave voice to a lot of his constituents are feeling, don't you think?
You know, yes, there's anger, but Congress needs to rise above the anger. The executive branch needs to rise above the anger and figure out how to get things done. And that still is what we're waiting to hear. Nobody knows how to cap it yet. And I don't blame President Obama for that. He didn't cause the leak. But, you know, looking at his speech last night, an Oval Office address is a terrible thing to waste. And I think he wasted it.
Why?
Because if he had given a very similar speech in the first week of this, and if he had brought those executives from the oil companies in immediately after the leak, then he'd have been ahead of this. Then he'd have been seen as directing and leading our country. And I think the effort to blame the oil companies would be much better received. They are at fault. They do have culpability here,
you see this
especially
as catch-up.
BP. It's too late for President Obama. That's the problem. The events now are so much bigger than
Well,
him.
you of all people already know that things come and go. They're up and down. They change. It's a little too soon, isn't it, to say that it's too late?
Oh, no, it's not, because this is where if he had done what he's doing this week, in the first week of the crisis, the American people would have said, our president is rallying us. He doesn't know how to stop it. Nobody does. But at least the president's doing the right things. He's recovering now from having snoozed his way through the beginning of this and having delegated it to the cabinet agencies instead of the White House immediately rushing in. They politically thought the best course of action was to delegate, let somebody else be in charge. Now they're trying to catch up.
Or even if we accept your premise that it's a late start, that he should have been saying this in the first week or the second week, what he did say and the direction he is going in, is it correct?
Well, in terms of cap and trade, if that's the direction he's going in, then the answer is no. Even if we were able, and we hope we can, double or triple the amount of energy we get from renewables, it won't have a thing to do with whether we need oil. We're still going to need oil. We're still going to need offshore oil wells. We're still going to need those platforms. So what he said last night in terms of making every effort, that's welcome, and the people in the coast need to hear it. When he's going down there and the cameras show beautiful, pristine beaches, that's great because people need to know you can still be a tourist down there. I praise him for those things. But again, too late. And then if he tries to use this as a switch to get Congress to pass cap and trade or cap and tax legislation, even the Democrats aren't going for that.
Well, that's another whole discussion, and it is an interesting one. Maybe you'll come back and we'll talk about that, Ari. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.